So hello and welcome to an episode of Copy with SamPaul. We're going to the opposite end of the spectrum from my last episode where I spoke with Mark from Wolf Fitness, and we're going to delve into the world of mortgage broking. So I'd like to welcome my guest, Amy from Broker That. How you going?
I'm good, thank you. Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here today and having a chat with you.
Well, thank you. It's good to be here with you, and thank you so much for the coffee. I always like to taste the coffee because I give a bit of a rating on the show if I feel like it. But this is really always good coffee.
Yeah. Macchinetta
coffee in Grange. Go check it out. Fantastic family-run business and awesome coffee. So nice atmosphere.
Very awesome coffee.
Yeah. So you're obviously the owner of Broker That, a mortgage broking company here in Adelaide. What sort of got you started? Because you're about a year into the business, I think, right? Yep, just had your first birthday, I believe.
We did, yes. So a year into business, and I moved to Adelaide from Brisbane at the beginning of last year.
Okay.
I have been working in the not-for-profit industry for the last 10 years, heading up fundraising. So a lot of that included writing applications for government funding, private funding. There was a lot of applications to banks for grants, and a lot of community engagement, partnerships, and a lot of transferable skills really. And mortgage broking had always been something that I had always felt like I had an interest in. I almost went down the route of doing an accounting degree in the UK. I was signed up to do that degree, and I had an opportunity to come and live over in Australia. I was given an internship, so it kind of took me in a little bit of a different direction. So I feel like my interest in finance has always been there. And then I bought my first property over here when I was 24. We've obviously had property that we've lived in, had investment properties as well. And I just going through the process and experiencing what I had experienced, I feel like there's a big gap between when you're not somebody coming from the finance industry and people in the finance industry. It's almost like that when you're dealing with something on a daily basis, your knowledge is just daily language to you. But when you're not submersed in that, you don't know what you don't know. There's a lot of jargon that you don't understand, and I think even more so I've experienced it since becoming a broker and launching my business. People feel embarrassed and ashamed to say that they don't understand what something means.
That makes sense.
I remember having a conversation with somebody last year that had built a house. They were super excited. They'd moved into their property, and we were having a conversation, and she said to me, my mortgage broker put my home loan into two separate home loans. Okay. And I've got no idea why they've done that. Do you know why that would have happened? And the reasoning was really simple. It was purely because what happens is you purchase the land straight away. So the loan one is usually for the purchase of the land, and the full 100% of whatever that land value is paid for at settlement. What then happens is, because your property is going to take sometimes 12, 18 months, dependent upon what you've agreed with your builder, the payments are done in drawdowns, so it's done in increments and not necessarily the whole build cost at once. And there's many reasons for that. You're paying as you go, as you get to completion stages, and also it's making sure that a builder's not going to go broke and you've already paid them the full 100% of building that property.
That makes sense.
And so that's the second one that you've got. So it's the land and then the build part. But just really simple things like that. And I just saw this real opportunity to make a difference for everyday people when it comes to property and the finance that they're able to get, and explaining so that people feel more empowered and more more empowered to be able to make more decisions
absolutely.
not feel ashamed to just go, let's just sign the paperwork. And, we'll get the home loan and then we'll never talk about it or think about it again.
Yeah. Have you found there's a distinction between yourself and maybe other, like potentially bigger mortgage brokers, like a niche market that you've tapped into, whether intentionally or otherwise, since starting Broker That?
I think there's definitely lots of niches out there, and I think there's some very complex lending structures. There's obviously very simple lending structures, which is your everyday individual person or two individual people in their individual names using money that they're earning from their job to get a loan. There's also other ways you can do it. You can look at having a company structure and a trust as well, and sometimes that's more suitable for certain types of situations. Okay. Sometimes when people are high income earners, there's certain tax benefits that people can get and ways to eliminate some of the tax that they're paying. Obviously, I can't provide any financial advice to people when it comes to those situations, but I do work very closely with and have recently launched a new program where I partner with an accountant and an advisor, so that in those scenarios we can get together on a call as a group and actually talk through what some of those different scenarios might look like if we were to structure lending in different areas. Another one of those areas is self-managed super fund lending.
Is that a relatively new one?
It's not necessarily new, and some of the bigger banks have actually stepped back from new lending in this area, but some of the smaller lenders are really niching into that area, and there's definitely lots of opportunity there for people. It's not for everybody, and you do need to have a certain base level of money in your super. And then there's some other things that need to be done. A self-managed super fund needs to be set up as well first, so there are some costs involved in that, and then there's ongoing reporting costs that then you have to be responsible for. You obviously also cannot benefit from the property that you purchase with your self-managed super fund. It has to be similar to your super, where you access that at retirement age. If you are self-employed or have a business, there are some different benefits from self-managed super, because you can actually lend money from lenders to purchase through a self-managed super fund and then rent that property to your business.
Interesting.
So it's quite common when it comes to a lot of tradies needing commercial warehouses and things like that. And I think if you step it back and break it down, ordinarily a lot of these businesses are paying rent to someone for their facilities to be somewhere. That money is going to whoever owns that property, and it's money that you never see again. If you purchase that property through your super, you can then rent that to your business. So you're actually putting that towards your own equity, and your equity is growing in your property that you've purchased. Plus, your rent has to be market value as well. You can't charge yourself a really low rate or anything like that. It's very regulated.
Yeah, of course.
And there are some really strict rulings around it.
Well, I say of course, but I guess it's not necessarily common knowledge for everyone.
No.
Interesting what you were saying there, because I remember hearing years ago that McDonald's particularly, I'm sure there's others, but McDonald's always build on property they own. So they will buy the land, essentially probably the same sort of thing. So rather than paying rent to somebody else, it's going back into the business, so to speak. So I'm not a big fan, but I guess there's a good tip taken from them based on what you were just saying there. So,
and I think it definitely is the reason why I get asked a lot, what's the difference between going to a bank and going to a broker? And I think this is definitely where having a broker on your side comes into play, because a broker will sit down and look at all of your options that are available to you and then actually talk through those different options with you. If you go directly to the bank that you currently bank with, for some people that's completely okay and they're comfortable in doing that, but what you might be doing is eliminate an option out there that could be available to you with different lenders that they don't actually provide.
Yeah, I guess as the lender going direct to them, they're probably offering options that fundamentally are benefiting them the best possible.
Yeah.
You know, and like you said, if that aligns with the client, then that's fine. But
Yeah.
no, I've heard a lot of good things about using a broker as opposed to going directly to a lender or a bank of such. And that definitely makes a lot of sense. So If you had someone coming to you and saying, look, you know, I want to look into getting a home loan or whatever, but I've got, you know, some debts like credit cards and things like that, what are some of the kind of tips you would maybe suggest to them before they really go into it properly, like, and, you know, get themselves as ready as possible?
Yeah, that's a great question, and I think definitely preparing in advance makes a big difference. It's not to say that if you have a credit card you're not going to get finance. It's obviously just going to make it a little bit harder for you. What the banks like to see when they're looking at clients' income and expenses, they like to see that there's demonstrated ability to manage people's finances. So they want to see that you're putting some money away and saving, you're not spending more than what you're earning, and if you have got debt that's been sitting there and, you know, you might be paying it off each month, but you're paying the bare minimum. Some lenders don't like that. They like to see that you're in a better position where you're paying off your debt quicker. And, you know, I have some clients come to me and they have bank accounts with savings sitting in there that are 3-4 times the amount that's outstanding on their credit card. So sometimes it's really just as simple as let's get your credit card
transfer that
paid
to the
off,
debt.
and let's look at whether you actually need that credit card or not.
Yeah, that's some good advice, because one thing I learned in my lifespan is that quite often lenders don't look at, say you've got a $2,000 credit card and you owe $500. They don't look at it as you owe $500. They look at you owe $2,000.
They look at the
because
limit
there's
of
that
the
potential,
card.
to still spend it if you wanted to. So, that's definitely some good advice there to, you know, obviously pay down debts and things like that, and have a plan. I think that goes for most things, you know. Where they say if you fail to plan, you plan to fail. So, and I can definitely attest to that in my lifetime. Like the more I plan things out, even if it doesn't always go to plan, it's definitely a better result overall. And you can troubleshoot to then improve better if you know what you'd plan to do, and then where it fell down if it didn't work out. Come back and readjust.
Yeah, definitely. And I think people shouldn't be afraid to have the conversation with a mortgage broker that this is what my liabilities currently look like, because a broker is there to work with you and to help you, either whether you're ready now or to say, look, let's look at this for the next 3-6 months, put these strategies into play, and then we'll be ready to submit this for you. When you're giving your information over to a broker, it doesn't go to the bank at that point. It sits with the broker, and the broker is able to look in the system and look based on the debts that you currently have outstanding, based on the income that's coming in, what does the borrowing capacity look like for you, and if you didn't have some of the debts that you've currently got, how does that change that scenario? So if it's not right now that you're able to borrow as much as you're hoping to be able to borrow, then you can get, okay, we know that in 6 months' time, if we eliminate some of those debts, then we will be more likely to be able to borrow the amount that we're wanting to.
That's again, it sounds kind of like common sense, but I can see why a lot of people may not think of that. You know, I mean, we're not mortgage brokers. That's why we engage someone like yourself.
I do have a client at the moment where we did something for her. The job that she, and whether you want to re-ask this as a question, the job that she works in, she gets a fully funded company car. For her, it was about borrowing as much money as she could. Her house had sold, so she was under pressures to get her finance approved and find a property quickly within a budget that she was comfortable within. We were able to look at which lenders had policy around company cars, and we were able to put her with a lender that actually was, in their policy, adds on an extra I think it was $7,000-8,000 onto her income for servicing. So when it came to her borrow power, it obviously maximised what she was able to she was able to borrow, because from looking at her income, it was as if she earned an extra $7,000, which obviously equates into the savings of expenses that
Yeah.
she's not spending on her own personal car because she has that.
Oh, right. No,
And it's little tips and tricks like that.
I'm not sure how to rephrase that into a question, but that's definitely a good real life scenario that someone watching might go, oh, that's kind of where I'm at. Maybe Amy can help me. But I will ask one last question, which is really important.
Yeah.
What's the best way for people to find you? You got social media, website, all that stuff?
Yeah, so the answer is all of them. You can find us on our website, which is www.brokerthat.com.au.
Yep.
We're also on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. If you search Broker That, you should be able to find us quite easily.
So if you're looking for the services of a good broker, maybe consider giving Amy a call or reach out to her through social media or the website. And I'm sure Amy could help you at Broker That. So,
Yeah, appreciate that. Thank you.
No
I've
worries.
enjoyed chatting.
Oh, yeah, me too. It's been really good. And thank you for being on the show. And, maybe we'll catch up again at some stage and see how things are travelling in the next few months or year. And
Yeah, awesome. Sounds great.
no worries. Cool. Oh, thank you.